I'm Chase, an astronaut, dreamer, and reluctant prophet of doom, broadcasting from a rickety observation post somewhere beyond Earth's atmosphere. On April 28, 2025, I witnessed Europe, the cradle of civilization, the land of espresso and existentialism, flickering like a dying light bulb. It all began innocently enough. At 12:30 p.m. local time, a massive blackout swallowed Spain, Portugal, and parts of France. 15 gigawatts, 60% of Spain's electricity demand, evaporated in the blink of an eye. Trains screeched to a halt, airports plunged into darkness, and ATMs offered nothing but silence. Traffic lights went out, leaving cars stranded in a sea of metal. Phones lost signal, and the hum of modernity ceased entirely. The news, while it still had power, blamed strong oscillations in the grid. Perhaps a cable fault, perhaps a rare atmospheric phenomenon. Spain launched a criminal investigation into computer sabotage, while X buzzed with whispers of a black swan event, or something called EBS. By April 30th, 99% of the power was restored, and Europe breathed a sigh of relief. But what if the darkness didn't stop there? What if that blackout was merely the first tremor of a cosmic earthquake? Buckle up, because I'm about to drag you through a week where Europe became a graveyard of light, and the stars above whispered secrets no one was ready to hear. Day 1. The darkness spreads. Madrid transformed into a constellation of chaos. Plaza Mayor, usually vibrant with tourists and tapas, was a sea of shadows by noon on April 28th. Flashlights flickered like fireflies, and voices, angry, fearful, confused, echoed off ancient stone walls. It's just a technical glitch, some said, clutching their dead phones. Others weren't so sure, pointing to the sky where a strange light, too steady for auroras, too eerie for clouds, danced. By midnight, the glitch grew claws. The blackout spread like ink, seeping into northern French cities, then Italy, Germany, and beyond. The European Network of Transmission System Operators, ENTSOE, the tightly woven grid connecting the continent, collapsed under an invisible force. Control rooms in Brussels and Frankfurt lit up with warnings: unidentified oscillations, grid integrity critical. Engineers scrambled, but every effort failed. It wasn't a cable break or a cyber attack. It was something else, something that made screens flicker with unreadable glyphs. I watched from the crow's nest, an old satellite station I'd nicknamed for fun. My AI assistant Rico read out data. Power outages confirmed in 27 EU countries, cause unknown. I smirked. Unknown? Rico, that's code for we're done for. The scene below was apocalyptic. Europe, once a shimmering mosaic of light, was now a pitch-black void, pierced only by the faint glow of emergency lights and makeshift fires. In Lisbon, subway tunnels turned into tombs. Passengers trapped in stalled trains pounded on windows, their phone lights fading to black. At Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport, stranded travelers camped on runways, staring at a sky that seemed to pulse with something wrong. Berlin's Brandenburg Gate, a symbol of unity, stood sentinel over a city sinking into panic. And in Stockholm, the first riots erupted as supermarkets ran out of stock. Humans, I muttered, sipping recycled water. Give them 1 day without Wi-Fi and they're ready to burn the house down. Day 2, the unraveling. By the second day, Europe was a pressure cooker. Without power, the continent's arteries, trains, planes, data networks, clogged. In Rome, the Colosseum silently overlooked streets filled with looters. In Warsaw, families barricaded homes, clutching candles like talismans. The EU's vaunted unity cracked as nations pointed fingers. Germany criticized France's aging reactors. Italy accused Spain of grid mismanagement. Meanwhile, X, still limping on battery-powered servers, exploded with conspiracies. Alien EMPs, Russian sabotage, even a rogue AI hidden in Brussels servers. Rico chimed in. Social media activity indicates 68% of posts mention cosmic interference. Correlation with atmospheric anomalies, 92%. I rolled my eyes. Great, Rico. The internet's decided we're being probed by little green men. But I couldn't ignore the data. My telescopes detected something odd. A steady energy pulse, too precise for nature, emanating from somewhere above the Arctic Circle. It wasn't solar flares or geomagnetic storms. It was deliberate, like a heartbeat from the void. On the ground, the damage mounted. Hospitals in Madrid switched to diesel generators, but fuel was scarce. In London, the Thames reflected flames as rioters torched shops on Oxford Street. Food rotted in unpowered refrigerators, and water pumps failed, leaving millions parched. In Amsterdam, canals mirrored a sky glowing with unnatural hues. Green, purple, blue, colors no one could explain. Chase's voice rang out in my headset, narrating to an imaginary audience. "Welcome to Europe, where the Renaissance meets the apocalypse. Rating? 8/10 for sheer chaos, but the light show's mesmerizing." I wasn't laughing. Something was wrong, and it wasn't just the power. Day 3, the descent. By the third day, Europe was a canvas of despair. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower stood like a skeleton under a sky pulsing with alien light. The Champs-Élysées became a battlefield, lit by Molotov cocktails. In Berlin, the Reichstag was a fortress, guarded by soldiers with dwindling ammunition. Rural areas fared no better. In Bavaria, farmers formed militias, protecting livestock from raiders. In the Alps, ski resorts turned into refugee camps, dotted with tents and campfires. The cause of the blackout remained a mystery. X erupted with speculation. A secret NATO base, a crashed UFO, or a portal to another dimension. Rico analyzed. Probability of extraterrestrial origin, 12%. Probability of human error, 45%. Unknown factors, 43%. I snapped, "Thanks, Rico. You're as useful as a paperweight in zero gravity." In the crow's nest, I ran my own scans. The pulse was stronger, its frequency syncing with the strange lights over Europe. It wasn't random, it was a signal, and it was growing. I tapped into an amateur radio network, catching fragments from survivors. A nurse in Barcelona whispered about patients dying as ventilators failed. A trucker in Poland reported seeing ghosts in the sky, shimmering figures that vanished when approached. I didn't believe in ghosts, but I believed in trouble. Society began to fracture. In Athens, a self-proclaimed light king seized a solar-powered warehouse, distributing electricity in exchange for loyalty. In Copenhagen, a cult formed, worshipping the eerie sky glow as a divine sign. Chase's voice echoed. "Humans always finding new gods when the old ones fail. Rating? 9/10 for creativity, 0 for survival skills. To be continued."